Hey guys, what do you think about these? This is a great little comparison video. We've got the new IXO Peterbilt 359 tooling, and we're going to compare it to the DCP Peterbilt 359. We've got two brand new IXOs right down here, a blue one and a red and white one. And then up top here, we've got the DCP Legacy Series Perkle refrigerated freight lines, and there's a video coming soon on that truck, so watch out for it. Make sure you go on and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it. Now let's go on and open up and just look at the IXOs first, and then we'll compare them to the DCP. The IXOs come in their IXO packaging. This is not the IXO USA packaging, this is the IXO packaging, IXO models. It has a nice display case for each one and then a nice sleeve, plus there's a little plastic sleeve around them. The red and white one is item number 64TR010A, 1973 Peterbilt 359, licensed by PACCAR. Shows off the truck really well in the packaging. You can't really ask for anything better. The same box, same packaging for the blue one here. You can see everything's the same. The only difference is the sticker on the bottom. This one has 64TR010B for the blue one. So they use the same item number, but they made it for two different trucks. Now let's go on and open them up. Oh, also on the top, you can see the little IXO logo. That's on top of the display case. And then there's some information about the truck there and the IXO logo on the display base. You can see that even better. You can see there's the IXO logo on top. Of course, there is some glare that comes off of plastic cases. And then you can see Peterbilt 359, 1973, and item number 64TR010B, and then IXO models. They didn't write the color on each one, so if you want to make sure you put them back in the box the same, make sure you go on and write the color down and throw it in with the box, so that you can put them back in the right box, even though it doesn't really matter. I mean, the boxes are the same, trucks are the same, just the paint jobs are different. We'll go on and open this guy up so you can see the red and white one in its little display case. Their packaging is really nice. And I kind of like the fact that we get a display case. I mean, the DCPs are beautiful and all, but they're just so hard to keep clean because you don't have any way to really display them. And there it is. It has the item number 64TR010A right there, and then the rest is all the same. Really cool. Take the lid off, and yes, there is some pieces underneath that hold it in place very well. And then we have a couple of screws on the bottom which hold it in place. That is probably the best packaging that I have come across with. I love these packages. I wish everybody else would use this, even though it does end up leaving a little hole in the bottom of the truck where the screw goes. It is still really nice. And they have used Phillips head screws, so they're easy to get off of these. When you're taking these off, make sure you go on and hold the truck really well so that you don't drop the truck and break it. I always loosen both screws before I take any of them out. That way, you know, it's still anchored while you're trying to loosen the other tight screw too. You see? And you're not struggling as much trying to loosen the screws because it's still anchored in place. There we go. Easy enough to bring them out. Take the screws out and then carefully take the truck off the plate without dropping it. Hopefully. That is the goal. If you drop it, there's a good chance you break parts off, and don't want to do that. So we take them off very, very carefully. Poof. Truck is off the base. And then you can see it has this plastic piece which molds around the base and some little pegs that hide the screws. Pretty cool. One and one. And put the lid back on, and you can put them back in the box and keep the box, guys. If you ever have to move, it's so much easier if you have the box than if you don't. There's the red one. Now we'll take the blue one off. The castings and everything setups are exactly identical on these trucks. The only difference is the paint scheme. So I'll just talk about the features of one, and then we'll use the other one to compare to the DCP. How about that? What's that sound like? I think that's a good idea. Let's take these screws loose. And there we go. Comparison should be fun. I've done a couple other comparison videos, and you haven't seen them, go watch them. I did one on the B model Mac. I compared Neo, Ertl, and First Gear. I'll have to update and do another one because IXO just came out with a B model. I also did one on Peterbilt 351, and you have to watch those if you want to figure out which one I thought was the best of those trucks. And I've done a couple other ones, and I am working on doing one on the new Ford that is coming out, the Ford LTL 9000, and that'll be out soon. So go on, guys, and subscribe. All right, which one should I talk about now, guys? The DCP back there, which I have talked about the DCP and all its features before, or should I talk about the red and white? It's kind of the closest match to the DCP. So let's talk about the blue and white, which is a very different match. So let's do this. Let's talk about the features based on this red and white one. It's a really nice die-cast piece. Chassis might be a little bit short because of this wheel. The wheelbase might seem a little bit short based on the 60-inch sleeper. However, they ran shorter wheelbases back in the day because of bumper to tailgate laws. We have a grab bar here that is molded in and then painted in silver. We have the vent window there. We have the door latch, and then we have the door latch on the cab. They did not tampo those silver, nor did they tampo around the door in silver. That's all right. Nice looking exhaust with not quite a 45 miter. It's more like about a 22.5 miter on it. Then you have the exhaust stack, and then the grab bar there molded in. Nice chrome mirrors, chrome breather, chrome steps, chrome stacks. We have silver painted steps here for the sleeper, which is very common. They had sleepers. Steps then because you got into the sleeper outside the truck instead of trying to crawl through the little window boot. We got chrome on the half fenders here and chrome 10-hole wheels. The rear wheels look really, really nice. The front wheels, their definition isn't quite as good, but it is still a nice wheel. We got a nice tread pattern on them from back in the day. You can see underneath, you can see the pipe that's kind of curved around and Y's out for the exhaust. Got 1/64 Peterbilt 359 and IXO tampoed on the steps and battery boxes. The chrome bands are just silver paint instead of chrome. Actually, the battery boxes are just painted in silver. The chrome pieces are the exhaust, the mirrors, the grille, the wheels, and the breather. We have a chrome visor here, and we also have chrome air horns. The roof bullet lights look like individual pieces. Yep, they're individual pieces. They got them painted red on the back, and then they put a little bit of orange paint for amber lenses there. Really, 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 really sharp. On the back, we have a cabinet rack, headache rack here. Really kind of thin, but it is there. Two little lights on it. We have the weights here with Peterbilt logos on the weights, black mud flaps, and then the bumper there with brake lights, extra brake lights. Not exactly the way Americans run brake lights, but it is a European company. Up top, we have the fold-up style airfoil, which is really, really cool. And you can see it actually has the piston that folds it up and the brackets. That is awesome. That is way better than the one that DCP did. Round to the front, we have a nice Peterbilt grille. We have individual jewel style headlights, guys. Duals on each side. Peterbilt logo, the bird handle there. Then nice chrome with the tapered ends bumper on the front. We have photo etched windshield wipers. Not my favorite, but they're there. Individual front windows with just a center bar, chrome visor, just like the real ones. We have turn signals. They're molded into the fenders, and then they just painted them. On this guy, they just painted them red. Hey, they painted the back of the headlights up here. They painted the back of them in red, so that's really cool. Chrome on the front, red caps on the back, red fenders, and then this beautiful white painting and striping there. There's also a number 121 up in this little stripe up there, Peterbilt graphic. Oh, man, they did a really nice job. I am a real fan of this truck. And under the chassis, I mean, you've got rear differentials, brake canisters, drive shafts, bottom of the engine detail, spring front suspension. You don't have steerable axle, and you don't have an opening hood. But other than that, man, you've got a DCP right there. It has a slotted style fifth wheel, but I've proven before that a DCP trailer will hook up to it, and we'll do it again. Now let's compare the blue one to the other truck. All right. Let's just start off in the front. The window is a little bit taller, it looks like, on the IXO. Maybe the cab is just a little bit taller. Maybe it's just the way the visor sits. The windshield wipers are photo etched, whereas on the DCP, they are just molded and tampoed. The window is a one piece with a bar tampoed on it on the DCP, while there's a two piece on the IXO. The stacks are a little bit thinner, probably more prototypical on the DCP, but the IXOs look really nice. The mirrors, the IXOs are not quite as good. They don't have the little lower rounded mirror, but other than that, they're a really nice mirror. And not all trucks ran that little mirror hanging down lower, so that's okay. The breathers, both of them have good looking breathers. They're not quite the same breather though. If you'll notice, it has a thicker breather that's not quite as tall on the IXO versus the DCP. Turn signals are bigger on the DCP than on the IXO, but that's okay. Headlights, about the same. Grills, basically the same. On the roof, we have the molded in roof lights on the DCP, and they are individual pieces on the IXO. That's kind of cool. Of course, we have different deck plates because we have slightly different length chassis here. DCP has a couple of different chassis than IXO does, so there is a difference there. Heck, this blue one here, it actually has a license plate. Odd, you don't really see license plates on the back, not in America, not on tractors, but there it is. I think DCP's brake lights and their brackets for their mud flaps are better than the IXO, which kind of look more like a European truck, but the mud flaps are still pretty nice on the IXO. The little cabinet rack is cool. They put red lights up there on top. DCP, of course, they do have a cabinet rack, but their cabinet rack is about a 1/4 inch thick, and that looks like it's about a 1/16 of an inch thick. So I'm not sure where they did that. The steps to get into the sleeper, more accurate on the IXO than the DCP, not having them at all. So we'll go with that one. Both have a plastic fifth wheel. DCP is a little bit thicker than the IXO. I think the IXO's is more of a prototypical thickness. So I'll give IXO that one. Both have really nice tread pattern tires and pretty good wheels. I will say the front wheel on the DCP is a little better than the front wheel on the IXO, but the rear wheel on the IXO I think is a better wheel pattern and design than on the DCP. So win one and that becomes a draw. Paint, both of them have excellent paints and paint processes which make really, really fine paint jobs. So you're not going to lose out there. The roof, man, I love IXO's roof air deflector. Now this 359 doesn't have it, but they do offer, you can have it put on the 359, so that's not a problem. I'll show you theirs and you can compare it. The DCP one has these arms that go right up. This is a Transtar from Laidlaw, but it's the only air deflector they've got. And then there's this one. I like this better. I think its brackets and everything else look a little bit better and a little more prototypical, but it is what it is. Both of them are still pretty nice. I mean, even the DCP, and that goes way back, so it's still pretty nice, but I really like the IXO a lot better. That's just a personal preference. And what else? These trucks both need, let's see, we know DCP trailer will hitch up to the DCP. Duh, that's a given. It's a DCP. They're designed to be hitched up, just like that. But let's see if it fits with the IXO. I'm sure it will, because I've done this before. A little bit stiff, but pops right in there, and she turns without catching the mud flaps on the landing gear. That's a very important thing. So, but you notice how much closer the trailer is to the tractor. But back in the day, they ran a whole lot shorter chassis, and the distance between the cab and the trailer was a whole lot smaller, so that's not a problem. As long as she clears, they would run it. Like that bumper, front bumper to rear tailgate length law, they was kind of strict on that in a lot of places. So you had to run a short chassis if you wanted to run a conventional. But that's also why we ran so many of the cab overs, and today's, without that law, we don't run many cab overs at all, if hardly any. You just see some vintage ones. There's no new ones being made. And there's the trailer hooked up to the red and white IXO. Again, mud flaps don't catch, and she swings right around without catching the reefer or the corners on the truck. So she looks really good. And there we go, guys. That is the two IXO Peterbilt 359s. They're both 1973 models, and they just came out. And guess what, guys? They are selling fast. If there's any left, I've got them linked down below, but I'm not sure there's even any left. These guys have sold really, really well. People love them. They're $40. I mean, $40 for that versus you're looking at $65 to $85 for a DCP cab today. So take your pick. To me, they're both great trucks, the DCP and the IXO. If I were to choose a real winner, I'm going with the IXO. It doesn't have the opening hood, doesn't have the steerable axles, but it's got all the other details, and they're done a little bit better. Plus, they're a lot cheaper than the DCP. DCP is going to have to really, really either up their game or lower their price, as IXO is going to come on really strong. We've got more IXO trucks coming with trailers, including the W900A model with van trailer for Smokey and the Bandit. We've also got another reefer trailer coming with a Ford CLT 9000 from them. They're really pouring it on. And as soon as I get those trailers, I will review it and we'll compare it to the DCP trailer. It does look almost the same, but there are some differences, so we'll have to just take it and look at them and make that decision as soon as we get them. But guys, they're coming in at like $90 to $95 when DCP is now anywhere from $125 to $150. So, I mean, we're looking at a big drop in price from the IXO, and all we're sacrificing. And if all we sacrifice for that much drop is an opening hood and steerable wheels, man, that's worth it. To me, that is totally worth it to drop it that much. So, what do you guys think? Let me know. Do you really, really care about opening hoods and steerable wheels? Is that a deal breaker? Or is this just fine to set it on the shelf? Because that's what we do with them. We just set most of them on the shelves. We don't open the hoods. If you want that, we can have a DCP and show off a workshop, but generally we're just putting them on the shelf. So what do you guys think? Let me know if that's a real deal breaker. And like the channel, subscribe to get those future coming videos on the Ford CLT 9000 with trailer, the Smokey and the Bandit truck, and lots of other videos on diecast models, plus the video on Perkle Refrigerated, the Van Huysland fleet. Thanks for watching, guys. Please smash that like button, and I'll see you on the next video.